Thank you for the worship. I want you to turn to Matthew chapter 4. We're continuing in our study. We've spent a couple Sundays doing an overall view of this passage, which begins in verse 18. And actually, we're including down through verse 25. It is the calling of the disciples, and I'm discovering for my own life it's become a little disturbing. But I hate to be disturbed alone, so welcome to the disturbing service. Thank you, Jesus. Wow, what a Jesus we have, huh? He won't leave us alone. My. So we're looking at Matthew chapter 4, verse 18. And we're going to land on verse 19, so we're beginning at the stage where we're getting into the verses themselves. So we'll begin reading at verse 18, chapter 4, verse 18. And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brothers, Simon called Peter, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. Then he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Verse 19. Then he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." This, if we've got the progression right, is the second encounter the disciples have had with Jesus. This is the second call, so to speak. We know that Jesus was ministering, of course, in Judea next to John the Baptist. John the Baptist was having a successful ministry, and a lot was taking place, and Jesus was coming along, and John was pointing to him as the Messiah, and so a shift was taking place. So we're moving from John the Baptist into the Messiah, the life of Jesus. John was a forerunner to that which was going to take place in Christ. As he was doing that, John was standing on the street corner one day and had two of his disciples with him. One of them was Andrew. He's pointing to Jesus the Messiah, saying, there he is. He's the Lamb of God that's going to take away the sin of the world. So John is testifying to his two disciples about Jesus. He says, "Follow him." So these disciples, Andrew being one of them, started after Jesus. And Jesus noticed someone was following behind him. Said, "What do you guys want?" They said, "We're just wanting to find out where you're staying so we can just hang out." He said, "Well, come and see." So he's calling them. They follow him, become a part of him. Andrew gets so excited, he goes and finds Peter, his brother. Says, "Hey, come, I think we found something. Something's really real here. Something's going on. This is the Messiah we've been looking for." You realize Peter and Andrew are all from Galilee. So they're down in Judea on whatever they're there for, and fellowshipping and part of the discipleship of John the Baptist for a period of time, learning, and now they've discovered Jesus. In fact, they spend all day with him. And during that day, faith is accumulated in their lives. In fact, the next day, Nathanael gets involved in it. Philip gets involved, goes and gets Nathanael. Jesus says, "Hey, I saw you under the tree, know who you are already." So, and the interesting thing is, Andrew and Peter, and now Nathanael, and they are all from Galilee. So they're all from the same city. Coincidence? Jesus calls them. They, by faith, accept Jesus as the Messiah. They believe in him. See, they've got this major, overwhelming problem in their country. They've got a Roman domination. They can't stand it. They've got all this taxation, and Israel isn't who she ought to be. And all the Old Testament pomp and glory of the days of Solomon ought to be reestablished. They know that. God has promised them a Messiah. They know they have no chance of pulling this off on their own. They know absolutely there is no possibility of them getting up an army. Come on, they haven't got the manpower. They don't have the money to pull it off. There is no way. They're under domination. They've got one chance. God has got to send a deliverer. This is it. Jesus is the deliverer. He's the Messiah. So they put all their hope in their problem in Jesus, which they should do. He's the answer, the Messiah. Yay, he'll pull this off. So they have faith in Christ as the Messiah to solve their big problem. You remember what faith is? Invoking the activity of the second party. You haven't forgotten that. Invoking the activity of the second party. Hey, we won't let you out of this room until you know that. Invoking the activity of the second party. Lock that door, invoking the activity of the second party. Faith is saying, I can't, you can. I'm going to let you. Here's this major problem. I can't pull this off. I'm trusting you to do it. I'm invoking your activity where I can't get it done. This is way too big for me. I don't have a possibility. I can't. You can. Oh, I'm going to let you. I'm not able to. You are able to. I give it to you. Faith, invoking the activity of the second party. Live like that. They embraced Jesus by faith. Jesus wanted to go to Galilee. Had a wedding invitation. He's got these 4 guys now that believe he's the Messiah. They're from Galilee. He said, you guys are going home, aren't you? Yeah, we got to go back fishing. Well, let's travel together. So they traveled together for 5 to 10 days on their way to Galilee. He said, by the way, I got this invitation to this marriage in Cana of Galilee. Why don't you guys come? Free food. So they all came and saw the first miracle that Jesus did. Wow. And if they believed before, they really believe now. This is phenomenal. Jesus is the Messiah. Did you see what he did? Turn water into wine. This is, oh man, he is it. We believe. Here's the major problem. Roman domination. Here's the problem in our country. Here's the big thing I can't handle. I'm invoking your activity, Jesus, and they believed in him. Wow. They even began to hang around a little more, and he probably preached a couple times, and they went to the services and probably wrote a check for $50 in the offering plate, which is not a bad idea. And lo and behold, faith is stimulated. Jesus went back to Jerusalem. You know, he's ministering down there. They went fishing. That brings us to our text. In fact, in verse 12, Jesus has heard, as we've already studied, Jesus has heard that John the Baptist has been put into prison. That stimulates the voice of the Spirit in him that tells him it's time to get out of here. He goes to Galilee and starts his major ministry in Galilee. What kind of ministry is it? Well, he bought this building downtown. No, he didn't. Well, he started this. No, he didn't. What was his major ministry? It was a walking around ministry. Verse 18. And Jesus walking around. His whole ministry was walking around. Everywhere he went, he ministered. Do you realize if you're not limited to a building, you can minister all the time? Do you realize if ministry isn't isolated into a schedule, you can just minister any place, anywhere? Do you realize you can minister when you get out of bed? You can minister when you go to bed. Do you realize you can minister at the restaurant? Do you realize you can minister while you're driving down the road? Get out of my way. Do you realize there is no time you can't minister if it's not a building thing? Jesus had a ministry that was just walking around. Everywhere he went, he ministered. Why? Because there's needy people everywhere. Have you ever been any place that wasn't needy? When you're in your own home, you're needy. You've never been a place where there wasn't somebody who was needy. Your wife is needy. You are needy. Well, should be some amens or something. Whoa, isn't that phenomenal? So Jesus had this walking around ministry thing. That's so neat. So everywhere he went, he's ministering. And he's walking around, but don't get the idea it's just idle here, there, any old way. There's divine movement in this. And he's come to the Sea of Galilee, the shores of the Sea of Galilee on purpose, and lo and behold, there's Peter. Well, yeah, they've been coming to the Crusades. He went down to their job. He came right up to Peter and his brother James, or the 2 other brothers, James and John, further in the passage. So you got Peter, Andrew, James, and John, both fishing, all fishing. Jesus comes right up to him and says, hey, you believe in me? Sure do. You're invoking the activity of the second party? Sure am. Got this big problem, can't handle it. We're expecting you to pull it off. You're the Messiah. We'll fish, you get the job done. Whoa, that's a good deal. Jesus said, I want to take you to the next step. What's the next step? I want to do a formation in you. I want you to follow me And in following me, I'm going to do something in you that will produce fishers of men. And a change will take place within you. Now, wait a minute, Jesus. What I'm interested in, solve the big problem. Whoa, I believe you can do it. I'll fish while you do that. Jesus said, I am going to solve the big problem. You know how I'm going to solve the big problem? I'm going to do something in you. I hate that about Jesus. Because I can find lots of problems. Here's the problem with my wife. I'm going to solve that. Good. Work her over. Where are you going to start, Jesus? Going to change you. What? Like I'm the problem. Well, here's the church, Jesus. Bless God. Do something with the church. I'll go fishing while you do it. He says, I'm going to change the church. Good. Work on them. God, get them good. He says, I am going to start by changing you. Oh, brother. What kind of change is this going to be? I want to give you 3 ideas. Number 1, invitation. Oh, you got to get this. We talk about this all the time. We're going to continue to talk about it all the time. We're going to hammer this. This is so absolutely essential to everything we believe. This is such a foundational idea. I want this to be so implanted into your thought process. I want to yell and scream this so long that you cannot approach the Scriptures or your circumstances of life without thinking about this. It's an invitation. Jesus came to them in verse 19 and said, follow me. It's an invitation. It's actually 3 Greek words. Follow me is actually a translation of 3 Greek words. Douta is the first word. It's an interjection word. It's a hey kind of word. It's a get over here kind of word. It's a get your attention kind of word. It's a whoa kind of word. It's a come here kind of word. Now, at first, you'd think it's an imperative of command. Get yourself over here now. It's not that. It's an excited, wow, whoa, like, I know you're going to want to come over here. So the actual word literally means come here. The second Greek word that's a part of this phrase is opiso, which is the idea of after me, or after. So it's the idea is get behind me. Hey, come over here and get behind me. And of course then the word ego, which is the word for me. So the actual invitation is this, oh, I want to invite you to come and get behind me. That's the actual word. It's not an imperative, you got to get that. It is a call and invitation. Now you understand the disciple, oh, you got to get this. You understand the idea of being a disciple is not a strange thing in their culture. Hundreds of young people come to the point, in Jesus' culture, come to the point where they say, what am I going to do with my life? And they selected a field, a study, a career, a philosophy, a variety of things that they could choose and say, that's what I want to go into. Well, who's the top individual in that particular field of study? And they would apply to that particular individual and become his disciple. So every major teacher, every major professor, philosopher in every field of living had this following, had these students. Now, they didn't follow him around as he just went around. No, they had a classroom. They'd come early in the morning. They'd study his philosophy. They'd study his concept. He would drill them. They did it by memorization. Every field of life had major professors, major scholars who had all of these disciples. Disciples was a common, ordinary thing. For instance, in the philosophical world, there were these great philosophers from Athens. They all had disciples. There were a clamoring of young men who applied to say, oh, because the greater the professor, the greater your discipleship was. Not only was the field of philosophy, but there was the technical field of the idea of the rabbis and the Pharisees or the scribes, which was a detailed study of the structure of the law itself. A scribe was a particular field, and there were outstanding scribes who could debate, and it was phenomenal. Be a disciple. There was the whole idea of the sectarian field, which was like Pharisees. Pharisees had disciples. You remember that Paul said, hey, I was of the professor a disciple of Gamaliel, which put him way up there. So all of these discipleship, I'm trying to tell you, was not unusual. But here's what's unusual. Jesus, get this, broke the pattern. Oh, isn't he like that? He broke the pattern. See, in all the other disciples of his day and culture, you applied. You filled out an application. Will you take me? Not one single disciple of Jesus ever made application. Think about this. Not one disciple ever came and politicked. I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Nobody bought him a new car. Every single disciple, he came to them and tapped them on the shoulder, and it was always by invitation. And nobody could ever say, well, I made application, and my degrees were so, and my experience was such, and Jesus wanted me because No, Jesus came to them and selected them. It was always by invitation. In theology, we call this prevenient grace. We don't come to him. He comes to us. We didn't knock on his door. He knocked on our door. We didn't want him. He wanted us. And because he wanted us, that stimulated something within us to want him. We didn't come after him. We don't come to church and say, I sought Jesus and found him. Isn't he lucky? We come to church and say, whoa, Jesus hunted me down. I didn't make application and pass. I wasn't acceptable. He came to me when I was not acceptable. This is all over the Scriptures. You remember the parables that Jesus told about the kingdom? The parables of the kingdom are like this. There's this big wedding thing going on. The king is going to have a wedding for his son, and he sends out invitations to the most honorable people, and they refuse to come to his invitation. They didn't apply. He sent an invitation. They refused to come. And when he finally came down to it and saw that nobody was going to show up, he said, hit the streets. Anybody, any place, anywhere, under all circumstances, grab them. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what they know or don't know. I mean, get them. I want them in here. And every single man was invited. Remember the parable of the vineyard? The owner of the vineyard goes out and, will you work for me? Will you come? Invites. They didn't come and bang on it. Remember the parable of the sower? The picture is that we're the seed, we're the soil, and we're just laying there. We're not worth much. We don't produce anything, but he comes with the seed and implants the seed. This is his activity. Everywhere you go in the Scriptures, you come back to this. Let me read you John 15:16. Jesus said, oh, get this. Jesus said, you did not choose me. I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit and that your fruit should remain. Listen to Ephesians chapter 1, verse 4. Paul expanded this and said, just as he chose us in him before the foundation of the world. Chosen. Chosen. Now come back to our passage. Jesus is just walking around on purpose. Down by the shores of the Sea of Galilee on purpose. When he gets down there on purpose, he sees these four guys. He's already had contact with them. They believe that he's the Messiah for the big problem. Now he comes to them and says, hey, I'm choosing you. I'm choosing you. I want you. Follow me. No pressure. You don't have to. You can ignore it. Go on fishing. Hey, do what you want to do. Not standing in your way. It's up to you. No pressure. You don't have to. I'm not breathing down your neck. Nobody's wagging a finger in your face. It says, whoa. Do you know what you get to be involved in? There's no threat here. There's no, if you don't, you're gonna walk out of this building and you're gonna get run over with a car, bless God. See, there's none of that in this at all. Do you see any of that in this? This isn't lightning will strike your house. There's none of that in this passage. You know what's in this passage? Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't. It's your deal. But, oh, why wouldn't you? Now, this is really important. The attitude of this is really significant because he's going to turn them into fishers of men. And the fishers of men is not, I'll trap you. It's not, you better, it's not, no, it's just like what he is. He's a fisher of men. And you know what his approach is? Oh, come on. Why wouldn't you? Wow. Number two, not only is it invitation, it is inevitable. Inevitable. Now, there's a normal expectation that every disciple had in Jesus' culture. Obviously, he's going to attach himself to the great scholar, to the overwhelming teacher, and he's going to learn what that teacher knows. That teacher is going to sit him down. That teacher is going to have a board. That teacher is going to going to print out the lectures. He's going to read the textbooks. If he's really successful, he will be able to learn the knowledge of his teacher. He will begin to imitate the teacher. This is the way the teacher does it. This is the way I'll do it, because the teacher knows the right way to do it. So he begins to imitate the teacher. So a disciple expects to imitate and be like and know what the teacher knows. Jesus broke the pattern. Look at what he says. Verse 19. Follow me. Not, no, I'm inviting you. Come on. Why wouldn't you want to? Follow me. And guess what? If you follow me, I'll set you down and fill your brain with what I know. No. You'll memorize all kinds of, no. I'll give you all kinds of ways and techniques and methods. No. He says, if you will follow me, you know what will happen. I will make. This will shock you. Try to contain yourself now. It's the Greek word poieto. Whoa! Isn't that awesome? I will make you. It's the creative flow thing. It's trees bearing fruit stuff. I will be like the nature of a tree inside of you, just bringing this to pass. You mean this is not an academic study? No. You mean this is not a skill thing? No. You mean this is not a Saturday seminar and learn how? No. This is an inside. I'm going to shape and form you inside. I'm going to poieo you. It's an active voice, which means the subject is responsible for the action. Jesus is the one that's talking. He's going to be responsible for the action of this thing. He's going to pull this off. It's in the indicative mood, which means it is a distinct statement of fact. There's no argument. You can't argue with it because it is a distinct statement of fact. It's in the future tense, which means you don't have it now, but whoa, hang on. It's going to start happening. Well, I don't want to be different. It's not for you. I like the way I am. I want to stay that way. Fine. Don't follow me. Don't follow me. Well, I'm just stubborn and I got my own ideas and fine. Then you don't want to get in on this. Because if you come after him and accept this invitation, you know what's going to happen? He inside of you is going to begin this process, this movement thing, this nature thing, and you're going to be saying, uh-oh, oh my, oh me. But why wouldn't you want that? I'm not the way I want to be. Are you? And at this stage in my life, I've discovered I'm too dumb to figure it out. So if there's a possibility of somebody bigger than I am getting inside of me and doing stuff that I don't even know about, bring it on. And doing stuff that I don't even have to figure out, I just have to respond to. Bring it on. And if he's going to form me, why wouldn't I want that? That's phenomenal. Let's be very clear. I want to follow Jesus. Oh, good. Then get ready, because this inside thing is going to happen, and you're going to begin to have his fingerprints on your inside mind and inside heart, and he's going to begin to shape, and you're going to become different. Well, I don't want to be different. You don't have any choice on that. You do not have a choice on that. Well, free will, bless God. No, you don't have any choice on that. What you have a choice on is whether you want to follow him or not. If you don't want to be changed inside, then don't follow him. If you follow him, you're going to be changed inside. You don't have any choice. So the choice is not about, is he going to change me or is he not? No, he is going to change you. The choice is, I'm not following him. So you cannot follow him without changing. He will make. You don't have any choice on that if you're going to follow. You have a choice on following. All right, this is deep, isn't it? You guys are wonderful. The third idea. Trying to figure out how to pronounce this. Ichthyology. Ichthyology. It's the third point. Ichthyology is a branch of zoology, which is the study of fish. Wow. Learned something new, didn't you? Ichthyology.
if you are going to follow Jesus, he is going to, that's an invitation. Don't have to. But if you're going to follow Jesus, he's going to change you. He will make. Well, what's he going to make me into? Oh, you're going to be a fisherman of men. Has that been your dream? Have you just stayed up at night saying, oh, if I could just be a fisherman of people. I just want to win people. Oh, I hate people. I want to be around people. I just do not mess with people. People are awful. Aren't you glad you're not one? I don't want to be people. People are terrible. So just, if I had my way, I'd just buy 1,000 acres and put a cabin in the middle and stock it well and build a 100-foot fence and get 1,000 German Shepherd watchdogs and just keep everybody away from me until I die and get out of this mess. Woo! That'd be my choice. He says, no, I'm going to make you fishers of men. That's what I'm making you into. Now, this is so specific. Do you see this? This is so focused. The focus is not, I will make you successful. See, if he'd have said that, I'd say, I'm in. Oh, I want to be successful. Whoa, yeah. Financially, mostly. I'd like to be successful. Wow, business-wise, on TV. No, there's only one of us that's on TV. This is wonderful. But he didn't say that. This is not about being successful. See, I want to pastor the biggest church in town. See, I want to be the, that wasn't, no, that isn't here. That isn't here. When you look at this passage, it's not about the prestigious church. It's about fishers of men. I'm going to focus. Well, I want to be successful at my work. No. You know what I'd like to do? We started a practical ministry school. What's the focus of a practical ministry school? Oh, to get you intimate with Jesus so you can be successful in every field of life. Which means that you got all these people with their various dreams, and we want Jesus in the middle of their dreams. Yes, that's true. Which means we need a variety of branches of knowledge to train them. For instance, there's the whole educational field. We need Christian educators. That's right. So that they can be the best teacher in their school. Amen. So we need an educational department in our practical. There's the whole nursing thing and the medical field and the pre-med. We need those kind. We need Christian doctors. We ought to have a whole field of. That's right. Bless God. Well, there's the whole business of the athletic world. We should have, and we need coaches, and we need all these. No, that's not what he said. He says we're going to have a practical ministry school, and the absolute only field that's going to be taught is to make you fishers of men. Well, I'm an athlete. Fine, I'll make you an athlete fisher of men. Well, I'm in the medical field. Fine, I'll make you a doctor fisher of men. Well, I'm a teacher. I'll make you a teacher fisher of men. But your deal is not teaching, it's fisher of men. Your deal is not medicine, it's fisher of men. The whole absolute focus is fisher of men. So if I whack you on the back and say, what are you about? Fisher of men. 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 This is really narrow. Because Jesus only has one calling. And I hate people. So evidently, if I hate people and he's calling me to love people and minister to people, he is going to have to poieto something in me that I don't have. So this couldn't possibly be a Saturday seminar learning techniques to manipulate people on the board. See, this has to be, something is happening inside of me. I like people. What happened to me? I will make. So the whole focus of the call of Jesus is evangelist. Well, I want to be a Christian. Why? So I can go to heaven. What? My goal is to make heaven my home. Oh, my. You just told me you aren't a Christian. Because that's not the goal of a Christian. What's the goal of a Christian? Oh, people, fisher of men. That's my passion. That's my burn. That's what I'm into.
Oh, got to correct this.
Jesus did not call them to be fisher of men. He called them, follow me. That's the call. If you follow me, guess what you're going to be? Guess what I'm going to make you into? Fisher of men. So you want me to concentrate on winning people? No, concentrate on me, and I'll get that done. I need to say that for the next 10 minutes so you go out of here with that. See, this is not, oh, brother, I got to get interested in people. This is, oh, man, I love Jesus, and he's just called me, and he's become, and he's doing something in my life. What's he doing? People. He always does. People. This is really strong. Because ultimately, if you're not into others, you're not into him. Don't have to. This is the finger in your face. This is not shape up. Read that Bible. Pray. This is. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to be his? Why wouldn't you? Oh, and if you're his, he's going to take his gigantic hands inside of you, his nature, and he's going to reshape you. And you know what he's going to reshape you into? Oh, you're going to burn for others. Oh, Lord, my schedule is so busy. I don't have time to get. How many evenings is this going to take? Brother, I give Sunday. How many other days do you want for this? I know the church has these programs. I should get involved, I guess. But I'm just I'm worn out the way it is, God. Please, Jesus, get me out of that thought process. Please let me see that you have called me and designed my schedule so that my schedule is not in competition with what you've called me to. It is what you've called me to. For what you've called me to, my schedule is the platform by which you're going to cause me to rub shoulders with people all over my community that you want to reach. And that you are a walking around Jesus. And that you're constantly, by my schedule, by my busy lifestyle, you are constantly throwing me in with all of these people. From the cashier at Walmart, to the attendant at the filling station, to the guy that works next to me, to all of these people. And now you are shaping me inside, so I'm becoming desperately aware of them. And it doesn't interrupt my schedule at all. And Lord, I realize this morning if I have a problem, it isn't my schedule. If I have a problem, it isn't my busyness. If I have a problem, it isn't that, well, I haven't been trained. If I've got a problem, it isn't, well, I don't know enough. If I got a problem, it isn't, well, I don't have enough theology background. If I've got a problem, it's, oh, I don't have this inside desire. I have walls, barriers. And I don't love like you love. And I'm not expecting a magic wand this morning, but I am expecting to hear the call of God. Follow me. Follow me. And what's your promise, Jesus? If I follow you, you will make me. I don't have to worry about that part. I just have to worry about getting into you. So I'm coming after you this morning. I don't have to. It's an invitation. But I know if I come after you, it is inevitable. You will make me. Heads are bowed. Would you risk going after him? Would you risk becoming intimate with his nature? Would you risk letting him put his hands on you? Would you risk what he'd do to your personality? The way you think? The patterns you've established for your life? Would you risk what he would do with your stubbornness? Your intolerance? Would you risk what he'd do to the walls in your life? Your prejudices, would you risk? You don't have to. But why wouldn't you? The creative nature of Jesus shaping you. Altars open. A place to respond. Not an embarrassing place. Not a finger in your face place. Not a condemnation place. Place of response that says, yes. It's a place you can come freely. Open. And seek. Oh, Jesus, I'm seeking again today. Want to join me?